everybody. How's it going? It's just Dirk tonight. No Murph. Murph had some stuff he had to take care of, so hopefully he'll be able to handle that, and we'll see him next week. But tonight we have a nice show for you. So I want to welcome everybody to the show. Tonight, who do we got? We got Mrs. Good Stuff already in the chat. She was here pretty early. We have Mo Biggs in the house. And we have Crazy Mad. Immortal Rising. How you guys doing tonight? So glad you could make it. Yo, hail chat, hail the panel. Good stuff's here. How you guys doing? I'll see your Dirk and raise you one Shadowpunk. That's right. Yeah, so we'll get into that in a little bit. Tonight, we have a special guest. I'm sure you guys have been hearing more and more of him. He's been making quite a mark in CG with some of his animation, some of his figurines. So we're going to talk to him tonight. And welcome to the show, Shadowpunk.
What's up?
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going good. It's going great. I got
Awesome.
my new, you can see I have my new lights in the background.
Yeah, they look good.
My whole life is electrified right now.
I wish mine was. I need something back in here to cover up some of this junk in my bedroom.
Yeah. I mean,
I have some movies, but I need to turn those into books and make it cooler.
Well, the lights, you know, if you have colors in Battle of the Celestials, you could take some of those, because I'm doing red and blue for my thing, right? But you could do one of those. You could get the colors and.
Right. I love that color scheme, by the way, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Great color scheme. Hello, the Art and Times of Jay Ryan. Thanks for coming by.
Jay Ryan, by the way, Jay Ryan's icon. I love that thing. I think that is so cool.
Yeah, that is.
Just tell me that he drew it, even if he didn't. It's that cool.
Did you draw it, Jay Ryan? That's what we want to know. Did you draw it? So, they're saying Murph must be busy cramming for hype. Or no, come on, nope. I don't think so. I don't think he's cramming for hype school. What up, Mo the Legend Biggs? Hey, Crazy Mad, I'm not seeing your question of the week. I mean, you getting behind, or what's happening here? Am I behind? Did I miss something, Crazy Mad? Did I miss it? Let me go up. Sometimes I overlook. Do we have the question of the week? Well, if we don't, we're going to wait on it, Crazy Mad. So you got to get back to me, man. Let me know what's going on.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like I said should we do a false flag event to create hype for the show?
Yeah. Why not?
Do it, man. Okay, what we're gonna do is no one's gonna know, but we're gonna fight each other online, and then we're gonna hate each other, and then for about a month we're gonna be mortal enemies, and then we're gonna make up, and then that's gonna be even more mileage on the thing.
And that's what wrestling does, right? It works every time.
Those guys are really good at it. There's no question.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're so cool and they're so hyped up. You know, you're like an amateur when you watch like Ric Flair, and you're like, dude, I'm in like grade school or something compared to you.
Yeah.
You know, he's just
I don't know if I could keep it up, man. Like the way they do it and the way they're in character completely that way. I don't know if I could do it that way.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, they're getting paid pretty good for it too. So.
And having a lot of fun.
Yeah. So the Art and Times of Jay Ryan says, yes, that's my art. It's on my Twitter.
It's cool.
Very cool.
I love it.
And Mo put up a question of the week. Is that what's going to happen, Crazy Mad? You letting Mo take your spot? Would you rather eat your favorite food for every meal for the rest of your life, or never eat it again? Ooh, that's a good question. What would you do?
So when he says never eat it again, you mean, but you get to eat all the other things.
So you still get food, but you're not eating your favorite.
So that one thing I can't have. So if mashed potatoes are my favorite, I can never have mashed potatoes again. I would do that one. Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, because I could learn to like French fries. Right? Yeah. Or I can learn to like tacos, right?
That's true.
I mean, No, I figured it out. That was like a Gordian knot question, and I figured it out.
Immortal Rising says everyday tacos. That's pretty good.
Right.
Art and Times of J. Ryan says, thank you, Shadowpunk. Glad you dig it. So that's cool. Hicks Villains in the house. Thanks for coming, man. Thanks for showing up. Yeah, I mean, for me, man, I'm a spaghetti and meatball kind of guy. That's my favorite. Right. And could I eat that every day? Ooh.
You can't.
I think any food every day gets bad. So I would say no. But could I do something else? I think I could.
There was a famous quote from a guy from the Civil War. He said, "I used to like rice, but goddamn the stuff now." You know, right. And even rice, you're gonna hate rice. You know, right. It'll look like maggots at some point. You know.
Oh yeah. So Mo says that's a good point. Mashed potatoes are basically ABC French fries. That's true. You get sick of everything, but if you get the right food, I guess you could diversify, right?
Right. I think he has to come up with more of a clever question. Just like both are like crazy, and you got to pick one that's less crazy.
Well, Crazy Mad usually comes up with something that makes you really think. But and that food question was good. It made me think for a minute. But Crazy Mad has some good questions every week. I wonder what's going on with him.
Did he watch like Saw too much?
I don't know. I don't know.
He's like got this whole thing now.
Yeah. No, he actually, I don't know what it is. I think he just likes to see everybody perplexed. You know what I mean?
Right. He got me for a second. I'm like, wait a second. You know?
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Of CG is what he is.
That's right. That's right. So, so that's good. So everybody, I just want to give a quick update on Ballad of the Celestials real fast, and then we're going to get into why we're here. So we have been talking to a colorist, having him do some pages for us just to get a feel for what he can do for us. Sent something back to us and showed us like, hey, we got these colors, and we need to rework it a little bit, and that's okay, because you got to remember he's trying to match the style of our previous colorist, Dio Lima, who just passed away. And so because we lost our colorist, we had to find somebody else. We're forced to find a new colorist.
Oh man.
Yeah. So halfway through the book. So and Dio was a great colorist. He was making our book look really good.
I think that's true. I remember. Yeah, totally. Real nice.
Yeah. So with that said, this guy's doing a good job, but I think we just need to rework some things. Once we get where I think we're definitely going to settle on this guy, he's definitely doing the rest of it, then we'll announce, who that is, and we'll go from there. But for right now, we're not going to announce that, because I don't want to say, yeah, we're going with this guy, and then go, it's not
right. Right.
So we're holding that back a little bit. I know everybody's probably nervous, like, what are you going to do? And how are you going to get a person to do this? And it is really hard to match a book.
Well, you're kind of asking Jack Kirby to draw like George Perez.
Yes.
You really are. And it's like, you go, well, don't you see what he did? And then the guy's like, well, I see it, but my tool set's different. I do this. You want me to, and I don't know. I'm not used to doing this.
Yeah.
That's what it is,
Yeah, I would struggle. I mean, being an artist has to come on and fill in. I mean, it's okay if they let you just do your own style and it's no big deal,
Right.
But a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we keep talking about with issue 2 is how are we going to make issue 2 fast enough without bringing in another artist to help get the book out fast, because I have a full-time job. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So having a full-time job, how am I going to kick out a comic and do it every year? Because it took me a long time to get that first issue out.
Wait, are you?
You know what I mean?
You're the artist?
Yeah, I'm the artist.
Oh, okay.
So
I guess I thought it was. Yeah, that's challenging. I mean,
it is.
I'm doing mine. I'm self-employed.
Right.
And I'm all day. Yeah. Either you're doing things to get the book out there, or you're literally I'm doing 3D stuff for the figures, and I'm also coloring and drawing.
Oh, right.
Inking. I'm like, oh my gosh, when can I work on the book?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the way I was feeling too. Even with just this YouTube once a week, I was going, man, what am I going to do? Like, I haven't drawn. I had to force myself to get back into drawing last week because I was like, I realized that I've been so caught up into marketing and, everything else about the book, about the peripheral stuff, that I've kind of got away from my skill set of the actual art and doing well with that. And so I was like, no, I got to get sharpened up again because I'm starting to lose it,
Well, I'll tell you what, well, you're never going to lose it.
No, but
right?
you know what I mean.
But
You're not
it'll
like
take you
as
time to
smooth
yeah.
Yeah. Like my flow wasn't there anymore. I was getting rusty. I could just tell it wasn't good.
Right.
So I had to work that out and bust it out and get good again. And then I was like, oh man, now it's feeling comfortable. I'm feeling like I can draw again. So Art and Times of Jay Ryan says, do you have a sample pages for potential colorists? Yes, but we're not going to send that out to other colorists right now because we're going to go with this guy and see what he does first. And if we have to move on, then we'll start reaching out to some other people.
Have you considered doing 2 colorists?
No, I haven't. It may be a way we go.
Or whatever, or maybe half and half.
Yeah, I mean, it's already going to be that way because with Dio having half the book done, we're going to have a different colorist come in.
Yes, I see.
So it's already going to be that way. We just, if somebody can pick up the pace and do it and match good enough, I don't expect them to be exactly like Dio, but I want a quality there. That's what I want.
Well, I don't want to make light of this situation because that's pretty serious, but I'll just say, it's a good example would be Bon Scott and Brian Johnson.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I mean, you're going to get something different, but that also is going to be great.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not really asking him to draw like Jack Kirby. I'm asking him to draw like him, but is it out of quality and is it going to do our comic justice and be there? Yeah, that's what I want.
I see.
And he's working hard to match it, and I think that's really cool. And I'm going to give him a shot for that. You know what I mean? So definitely go with it. So Crazy Mad says Mo's stealing my spot. Where were you on the question of the week, Crazy Mad? If you got one, throw it out there because we'll throw it up there.
Smart guy, where's your smart guy? What the heck?
Oh man, Arrogant Ape says I enjoy being self-employed for the most part, except my boss is a real prick. Do you have to deal with that, Shadowpunk?
No, I lucked out actually. I had some pretty good bosses in my day.
Oh, that's cool.
When you're an artist and people like what you do, you have a little bit of leverage.
Right.
And by the way, you don't wear suits and ties. If you do, you look like you don't fit because you're an artist, right? So I used to be really intimidated with my one boss for years, and then at a certain point, it went boop, and I was like, "Dude, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it." And he's like, "You're doing it." I'm like, "Listen, that's fucked." So at a certain point, I think you grow up and you stop being intimidated by your bosses, and quite honestly, part of dealing with tough bosses is to be straightforward and correct.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you go, listen, what you're asking me does make sense, but the other part doesn't, and here's why. And I think people generally in life respect that.
Sure.
I mean, yeah.
I agree. Hail Raiden Radio. Thanks for coming, man.
Raiden.
You could also color it, then invert the colors and release an alternate dimension variant. I would say we've actually thought of that, but not sure how we're going to go. That might be down the road or something. So we'll see. That's a good idea, though.
There are examples of that, I think, somewhere.
Sure.
I think they've done that like in back in the day. Like for example, Doctor Strange casts a spell, and for this couple pages, everything is inverted colors.
Right. Crazy Mad said I put it up way earlier. Is it not there? You know what, Crazy Mad? I didn't see it, man, and I'm looking. So I'll look through here again just to see if we missed your question of the week. But I do not see it. So put it up again, and we will ask it. It was fun to do Mo's question too, though. So still a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm not getting it. So put it up there, man. In the meantime, I did kind of a fake out tonight where I was going to talk about Bart Sears because that's what I thought I was doing tonight. My mistake. And I had the thumbnail made and I'll put it up. And I was like, yeah, it's great. I'm going to talk about Bart Sears, one of my favorite artists. If you know Andy Smith, do you see Andy Smith here in CG?
Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah, he worked with Bart Sears. And,
cool.
He used to ink Bart Sears' work and stuff like that. And
his new book it did great.
Yeah, First Man.
Yeah, it was like, whoa, it's like knocked it out of the park, man.
Yeah.
Maybe he's done more than one, right?
I don't know if he's done more than First Man or not. I know that he's had at least one campaign with First Man. I'm not sure about two, but he he's talked with Bart. He's had Bart on his shows, a couple times at least. Really? And I've always missed his show because he has it in the day while I'm at work. So I can never get in there and ask Bart questions and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if you look at Andy's art, his art is very close to Bart Sears.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
I knew there was something about it that I was like, that looks kind of familiar.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot like Bart. So, and I love that. So I have to think about backing First Man just because of that. You know what I mean? Haven't been able to get around to that yet, but it's definitely there. It's on its way. So, question of the week. Would you rather be an archer in medieval times or an armored swordsman? Man.
Well,
ooh, okay.
I'll bring up one point. I do know that the archers, they would cut their fingers off if they caught them on the other side.
Okay.
Maybe they did worse things.
So they couldn't pull the string back. Is that for the fingers?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But
now,
yeah.
But what I think is, I don't think a swordsman is fast as an archer. Am I wrong?
When you say, what do you mean fast?
I wonder if an archer could get you before you're able to go and strike him down with a sword. You know what I mean?
Not if you're carrying a plank of wood or something. Right. I mean, there's that whole thing where there's a workaround to everything.
Sure.
Water and fire, right? As you know. So it's one of those things where it's like, I think there was like kind of a prestige with swordsmen where they were, like the one to kill, to execute Anne Boleyn, they got a French swordsman to come over.
Oh,
and he was like, it was the art form to him.
Oh, okay.
Right. He even did a thing when he fainted her. He made a sound over here, walked with the socks over here, then cut her head off.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's that way she wouldn't be startled, like, here it comes.
Yeah.
Right. That was the idea. So, and they paid him a shitload of money back then to do it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So.
It's more romantic to be a swordsman, but I don't think it's always the best option, because I feel like there's a lot of things you can do that you can use instead of a sword that's probably more brutal, quicker. You know what I mean? Now, the thin swords, I would say those are pretty fast, but like the thicker, the wider swords, I think it would be tougher to swing those. It takes a lot more muscle. And if you're armored, you're going to be slower. So I agree with Arrogant Ape. Definitely the archer. Armored knights have to pee in their armor. I ain't about that.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. If that's true, because you're a monkey smoking. I don't know if that's true. If that's true, that's kind of sick.
I mean, think about it though. Once you're locked in, they have to put that armar on. Once you're in, man.
Yeah.
Like there's no getting out for a while until you're little.
There's got to be like a front door.
Yeah, you think?
I mean, in a back door, right? Otherwise, you're in deep shit, literally.
I mean, I think that's what they did. They probably did it because their squires would have to clean the armor when they were done.
Oh no!
So I bet they didn't care.
The thing that always scares me about medieval times is dental stuff.
Yeah.
Don't get a cavity, and I know you're in deep fucking shit if you have to. And I'm sure a lot of people did, right? They had.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna do the whole
guys
thing.
Guys get their teeth pulled and just yanked out.
Oh my God. I'll eat carrots the rest of my life.
When you were little, did you ever have anybody tie your tooth to a door and pull it?
Maybe. My brother threw a dart in my head once.
Was it a yard dart or a real dart?
Real dart.
Real dart.
And I was like, I went like this.
Oh, wow.
And
Dang, man.
And then we called my mom at work, and she goes, and I was like, Josh threw a dart in my head, and she started laughing.
Oh, okay.
She deciphered that I was okay. Right.
Probably just bled a little, right?
It did. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah.
My uncle used to sit me on his lap, and he would wiggle my teeth. He would just like take my teeth and wiggle them. If he found one that was ready to come out, he would wrap it in floss, tie it to the door, and bam, done.
Wow, that's cool. Well, you know, when your tooth is loose like that, it feels fantastic to mess around with it.
It does. Right?
Yeah, it does. And I don't know how young you were. I mean, hopefully you were old enough. He didn't try. You weren't like an infant, right?
No. He didn't I was probably like, you. I don't know, 6, 7, 8. You know what I mean? So.
Wow.
Yeah. Fun times.
Well, before we get off the subject, I just want to say that Bart Sears is one of my all-time favorite artists. Yeah. And I love, there was a guy, Rob Hunter, was a guy who inked him. And he did fantastic work on. They were like Kirby and Sinnott,
Oh yeah.
They fit together perfect, and like Mike Zeck and John Beatty.
Yes.
Right. Somehow, whatever it is, that thing works. Don't change it, you fuckers. Don't change it. And they eventually one day they'll change it, I'm sure. But
right. Art and Times of Jay Ryan says custom trapdoor in the armor. I'd mod mine. Laugh out loud.
Definitely.
Yeah. King Arthur or Robin Hood? I'm a King Arthur dude. I mean, I like Robin Hood, but definitely King Arthur.
If you're Robin Hood, you have to live in the times of King John, who was a bad King John. And I heard it sucked. Right. So I would go with King Arthur.
Yeah. A lot more cool stuff. You had Merlin, all the cool shit. So
right. Then you could like yell at the Druids for being pagans, and then they could yell at you for being an interloper Christian.
That's right. That's right. On the quest for the Grail. Just have a grill in the front. It's still got to be disgusting. Oh, okay. So Lars Anderson can jump, shoot on the run, and land bullseyes. Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm saying the archer. I think if you're a good archer, you can probably nail a swordsman before he ever gets to you.
Probably. You
can probably get a couple arrows in him. If you shoot him in the right spot, he's going to stop dead in his tracks. So I'd take archer.
That, I do think, though, the point that it's more prestigious to be it's more of a, is that the word? To be a swordsman, you are like up here.
You're a hero. Yeah. You're a well, like I said, it's romantic. Right. And because it's romantic, you're placed at an upper level. It's like the artist versus the inker in a comic book, right? I mean, artists get put at an upper level. The writer gets put down. The inker gets put down. The colorist. And it's like, the artist does a hell of a lot of work, but there's so much more that goes into it than just the art. Right?
So it segues right into my story, and I'll keep it. So when I decided I was going to do a comic book, I knew I figured out I could remember to draw like you did, right?
Right.
But the inking, I was like, that is an art form unto itself, and I don't have time to learn how to do the techniques to make that effective. So I came up with my own way of inking, which is I ink everything in Adobe Illustrator.
Right.
And nobody really does that, but I've been using Illustrator for 30 years. So it's very natural to me.
You know what? I use Clip Studio. So I like to, draw traditionally and then scan. Oh, my dog. Sorry about that. Scan my stuff in and then ink in Clip Studio. And I think that's what I'm going to start doing in the future. Because once I got onto it, I was like, man, this is great. I love it.
Yeah, I might do it too. Clip Studio is inexpensive.
Yeah.
And it's also, I love dogs.
Okay.
I love dogs, man. They're so cool. But I might end up doing the same thing, on issue 2 or something.
Well, and so, we worked with Peter Palmiotti on the covers, and he inked our covers, and he did a great job.
Yes, Peter.
I would love to be able to work with him. and have the ink already done, and he does it traditional, which I love that too.
Sure.
But I don't know. I mean, it's going to depend on if our book can grow the next time around. So that's going to depend on signups and everything else.
I'll tell you something. I mentioned this once. I was on the chat at one of the shows. Your book it reminds me a lot of the Dritz Du Erden Salvatore books.
Oh, R.A. Salvatore?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I know that it's different, but it has that fantasy feel.
Yeah.
Right? It's not Superman and Wolverine.
No. It's definitely fantasy. It's definitely set in. It's almost Lord of the Rings, Conan. It's that vibe.
Conan, right? And so, I mean, if you have a whole untapped reservoir of people that go to Dragon Con or Gen Con, I don't know what they call it. Those people eat that stuff up, man.
And that's what we have to do. We're going to have to tap into some of these places that we haven't been yet. And we're trying to find them online right now too, because the word of mouth goes. But we've been struggling with that a little bit, just finding the right spots. I'm sure we'll get there. We just have to stumble upon it.
The other thing too is not a lot of people in CG do fantasy.
No, there's only a few, and there's a big handful of us, but not nearly as many that are doing other stuff.
It's more sci-fi and superheroes.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. But that it's such a cool thing, and it's like, it's what's amazing is that the audiences for our books, we're just with Twitter and the CG community, that's big.
Right.
But there's people all around the world that have no idea we exist.
Right.
In 20 years, someone's going to say, "Oh, is that a cover for Shadowpunk?"
Right.
Like, yeah, I did it 20 years ago. I know. If you could only find a way to connect with people, you know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of funny because, we are on Twitter and we're on YouTube, and you would think that would get out to enough people, but really we are pretty small. We have a small connection, and that's okay. I'm hoping word of mouth grows, and we're going to go to cons, and we're going to go try to, get out places that we've never gone before, local comic stores, different stuff like that. You're going to slowly spread, but before CG came along, though, we didn't think we were even going to get online. We just thought we'd make a website, go out to cons, start meeting people, and do a slow word of mouth.
Oh, I see.
We had no idea CG even existed, and then we found it, like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So there's like this whole group out there. So and that's been great, and CG has really pushed us a long way. They're still going off about my uncle and his pulling my teeth.
It's a very vivid image.
I'm glad this story only ended in dental work, Mo said. And the Art and Times of Jay Ryan says it could have gone to a good dark place. Let me pull this out. Thank God he meant a tooth.
Ouch. Get your brain on the right track, buddy.
No doubt, man. Oh, gosh. Okay. Golden Axe goes Old Testament. Death Adder. Listen to this, man. These guys. Dean, his eyes. He's just he's like, what the heck's going on? Hail, Dean. Thanks for coming, man.
So his icon has eyes. His comment has eyes.
Yeah. And
then we have eyes. It never ends.
I've been collecting interviews with all the fantasy CG creators. Yeah, man. We've had Immortal on here, and we've gone on Immortal show and talked about our book and his stuff. So yeah, he's a great guy. So if you want to delve into some of that, he's had a few streams with several fantasy creators on his show.
Cool.
Where they're talking about different aspects of that, and from world building to villains to all kinds of things.
So just so you know, you're talking to somebody that that phrase, I know more than I've forgotten more than you know about this subject.
Right.
Okay, that applies to me with Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah.
I know everything about it, and I've forgotten half of it, and I still know more than most people.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fantasy fan.
Right. Yeah, I'm a big fantasy fan. I know a bit about Lord of the Rings, but probably not as much as I should know.
Well, it's funny. Growing up, I played Dungeons and Dragons most of my life. Okay. Yeah. And even among Dungeons and Dragons people, only a couple people read Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
if you brought it up, you're like, oh, here he goes again. But you
Right,
know,
right.
but the hate, love him or hate him. The
Yeah.
Peter Jackson movies did a fantastic job
Yep.
of getting normal people interested in that.
Yep. That's exactly right.
And that is an accomplishment, whatever you
Yeah.
like to say about the movies.
People that aren't going to read. I mean, and some of those books are very intimidating by the length, and so, and
That's
if you ever
true.
picked up anything like the Silmarillion or anything like that, it's just, oh
Right.
my gosh, those are hard reads.
The Silmarillion is like reading Greek mythology.
Yeah.
It's not first. It's only once in a while is the first person.
Yes. And that's tough to get through, man. I mean, I didn't even like to read that. So
yes, but I'll tell you something. If you ever, the audio book is fantastic.
Right.
If you ever get through it, you will find out how amazing it is.
Right.
The themes are awesome and how it connects to Lord of the Rings. And they explain the world. They explain the gods, the quote unquote, the gods that control the world, and why they behave the way they do. So awesome. And he was a Catholic his whole life. Right. So he had a deep respect for God, and he put that in the Silmarillion, because there is a God in Tolkien's world.
Right. Yes, and that's he said he was building a mythology for everyone, basically in, I guess, England, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's where it was. I mean, that's where most of it resides, which is really cool. Yeah. It's just that the commercial level, I would say Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, those are the easiest inroads to that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
Are these ghosts, elves, or dwarves? Oh, so so does wearing a suit made of ghosts count as fantasy?
Yeah, it does.
I say it does.
Unless it's like a scary house, right?
Well, it's a superhero fantasy. I mean, every superhero story is a fantasy, right?
I'll tell you something. If I in D&D, if I had a ring that made me give me a cloak of ghosts, that'd be pretty cool.
Right. Who the fuck hates Peter Jackson?
A lot of people don't like them because I shouldn't say some people don't like them because they altered certain things about the books.
Yes.
They did it a lot in The Hobbit. They did it quite a bit. It kind of makes sense. Okay, there's one scene in the Lord of the Rings that they took out that I freaking hate that they did this at the end. And in the Return of the King, Gandalf is supposed to have a stand down with the Lord of the Nazgul, with the Witch King in front of the gates of Minas Tirith, and they took that's like, and then they're going to do it right. Shit's going to happen, and then they hear the horn of Rohan, and it's so dramatic, and they took it out for I figured it out one day, but
yeah, it's they did change a lot. I mean, for me, okay. But I'm like, man, the movie just makes a lot of sense. And if a few things were altered, it wasn't enough for it to make me hate it at all.
Right.
It's gorgeous work. And one of the, it's awesome acting, awesome writing. And there's not a lot of ways you can find faults with it. Now, The Hobbit changed enough that it struggles. I don't think it meets the level that Lord of the Rings, set out to do and did accomplish, but I still love it. I think it's great. I can watch it over and over and over.
I watch it all the time. I enjoy it too, but I'll tell you, I think what the thing they missed in The Hobbit is you're obviously not going to get Lord of the Rings because it's a kid's story.
Sure.
Right. And it has to bridge that, make adults like it and kids like it. But you have to have that fantasy twinkle, that quasi magic thing.
Yeah.
And they didn't have that.
Right.
And by the way, it looked awesome. And I remember watching it going, they mastered this art form of making.
Sure.
So, it's pros and cons. I'm not going to pick on them,
That's what I say. I mean, find a way to do it better. I don't think there will be. I mean, you could tell he loved those movies. And when you got somebody that loves it and they put that kind of passion behind it, he made a great set of films. So I'm like, we'll never see probably something that level again for a very long time,
Well, when you watch The Hobbit, you remember the white orc, Azog. So I figured out why they designed him the way that they designed him.
I struggled with that. That was one of the struggles for me.
So I'll tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. So they're from New Zealand.
Sure.
Okay. And if you look at him, he looks like a great white shark. His skin has the pores. His skin is like white, almost like translucent.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I think that was their little bit of a nudge in saying, we're going to design our guy. Because, I mean, the great whites look aggressive and it fits the character. I mean, Azog is not in The Hobbit.
Right.
He's from a side story and he killed Thorin's father.
Sure.
And he is a big badass of his period. But, you know, but I had to watch it a couple of times. I'm like, look at those pores. It looks just like the pores of like a great white.
Yeah. Even his mouth was kind of that way.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I think you're definitely onto something, man. Tolkien also wrote a book on finances, Making Soma Billions in Middle Earth. That's awesome. Hey, Felix, thanks for coming.
Who wrote that? Who wrote that?
That was from Arrogant Ape.
Wow, that's Soma Billions, man. You should, if you're not a writer, Arrogant Ape, you should be one.
I know. Because he has some great things, man. He really does. He gets some zingers in there that are just awesome. So let me go down. I'm behind on the chat. So look at this. Oh my gosh. So we got, once you get Felix in, man, he's starting to share all the links, which is awesome. And Crazy Mad says Peter Jackson wasn't supposed to do The Hobbit. The director left last minute and Jackson took over last minute. Yeah, I mean, right. So wasn't it the Hellboy director?
Yeah, Del Toro.
Yeah, Del Toro. That's right.
So he would have, I remember reading about that. He had that golden magic feel going on. He was going to be able to at least do that.
Yeah. Mo says great white sharks. I can't talk. Great white sharks aren't some kind of New Zealand representation. They're great whites in every ocean. That's true.
Well, true, but you know, I think the culture has a connection. I think that's the point.
Possibly.
Yeah. Like Hawaiians maybe have a connection to sharks. You know.
Yeah, I think it's a clever catch that he looked like that. I'm not sure about the connection, but yeah, I think his look definitely had that. Oh, look at that Arrogant Ape. Oh, shucks. Golly gosh. Whoops, all dwarfs are sold out. Oh, wow. Off of Aerith Saga, all the dwarves have been sold out.
Oh, awesome. Wow.
Good for him. Woo, dwarfs are gone, baby. Oh, man. So, okay. So let's get into your stuff. So let's talk Shadowpunk.
Sure. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to look at?
You take off, man. Whatever you feel like you want to get into, we're going to go there. I have your Indiegogo up. And then if you want to share, you can share. It's up to you.
Okay. Yeah. I'll just click that. Bang, bang. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
So a lot of people have already seen a lot of the work I've done.
Nice.
But, you know, I think there might be people in the audience that don't really know me.
Sure.
So yeah, these are some of the promotional images I made for the book.
Yeah, I love that.
I was really struggling with the color for a long time, and I finally got it. Right? I was like, once I got it, I'm like, that if that's not it, then I'm not good at my job. Right?
Yeah, dude. I feel like every time I see an image with that red and blue, it's very striking. It's always striking to me. And that catches your attention right away.
You know what? I think you might be right.
Yeah.
Can I tell you one of the challenges with this?
Yeah.
Is to not make it red, white, and blue.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because my red and blue are kind of off red and blue, so that helps. But if you get too much white in the screen, you'll end up the viewer will become passive. They'll go, I get those colors. They're not electric anymore. They're kind of typical.
Sure.
You know? So,
they're gorgeous. Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
I really enjoy coloring them. And, so a lot of these I'm going to turn into cards. This is going to be my, I'm going to give away a first day backer, red foil card. And this is going to be it. So this stuff will light up. It'll be reflective red.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to give the first day backers something that nobody else can have.
Yep.
Right. And it's also a cool thing for CG people to go, someone on eBay one day will buy my book, right?
Yeah, man.
But they won't have the red foil thing. And that's kind of a cool thing.
The thing I'm noticing about each one of these is that every one of them could be made into a poster or some kind of print.
Yes.
So, let alone if it's telling a story, that's great. But it's like, man, on their own, they just stand out to be a great design, overall. So yeah, I'm loving it, man.
Looks awesome. So I'm gonna. I do have stretch goals in my campaign. I've been told don't talk about the stretch goals.
Yeah, you don't need to. You can put those out there once the campaign launches and stuff. But for us, that's probably one thing that we struggled with was our stretch goals.
Okay.
But I would say keep them simple, and we didn't go crazy, man. Like I saw people putting like just all kinds of little things that I find kind of impractical for me. I tend to like cards. I tend to like prints, possibly a poster or something like that. But a lot of times posters are harder because once you package them, you either have to roll them up or fold them. And so they're harder to ship. But, I think the more simple, the better.
Yes.
And, I'm not a sticker guy, but if I get a sticker, that's cool. One thing I found was like the magnets were really cool.
Okay.
Because I found they were practical. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to use a magnet.
Yes. Yeah. Well, what I discovered with doing like a somewhat of a survey is that there are people that love magnets and there are people that don't like magnets. And there are people that like stickers and there's people that don't like stickers.
Oh yeah, you're always going to run into it.
It's kind of like a interesting like a cultural thing. You're like
it is.
I don't know who hates stickers, but
yeah.
But everybody has their own like nuance of what they like and what they don't like.
Yeah, and I for me, it's not that I hate stickers. I just don't have a use for them because I don't have anything I'm going to put them on.
Right. Right.
They're just going to sit there, and then I might as well have a print or a card, because I want to look at the cards. I'm going to set them up. I might, put a display out, something like that. So
totally. I also, because it's my first time around, and I'm doing everything on my own.
Yeah.
I wanted your advice is good advice to keep it simple.
Yeah, man.
Because I don't really want to get into the position where I'm already doing 3D sculpts of my characters.
Oh gosh.
Right. So I'm already got so much to do. Right.
Yeah. I thought you were biting off quite a bit, man, but I love what I'm seeing from you. Those sculpts are looking great.
Yeah. Thank you. So here's some of the icons I made for my campaign.
Okay. Now, let me stop you for a second. So Crazy Mad says, I need a 30-second pitch from Shadowpunk before I walk out the elevator.
Sure. I'll give you one.
Okay.
So my story is about this girl that lives in the ruins of Detroit, and it's in the future. And when the story starts, she's been separated from her family. And her goal is to find out what happened to them, or just even if they're alive or dead. She has no idea. She runs into the gangs that run the city. They're in the ruins. And she has a run-in with them. And eventually in the story, she comes to find her mentor. And her mentor is this guy who has been fighting the guild who runs the city for decades. And he's old and he's beaten up. And he needs somebody to take the mantle. And
nice.
He wants her to be the one. But she only cares. She doesn't want to fight that fight. She wants to find her family and leave. And what she doesn't realize is those two things are very closely attached.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Very cool.
I
like that. That's intriguing.
Oh, I didn't. So I got the statue. And some people have contacted me and saying, I really want one I can paint.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
And I'm like,
it looks great painted too.
Thank you. Yeah, I was messing around with it, and I said, you know what looks awesome is one that you get that like metallic, deep, rich metallic feel.
Yep.
And I was like, and I did it once. I'm like, whoa, it's like when I did the colors. I'm like, I think that works. I think you should open your eyes and think about that.
I love it. I want to see Mare in his armor in something like that. So
that'd be cool. I mean, it's clean, right?
Yeah.
And granted, you can paint things and make them look realistic. And if you're like a Warhammer painter, you can make the thing rock, right?
Right.
But I can't paint. Let's pretend I sold 20.
Right.
Okay. I can't. That's a lot of work to paint 20 guys in that level of detail. This way, I can spend an hour painting it.
Yeah. So Crazy Man just checked his watch and walked out the elevator doors. He didn't look back.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was a good pitch.
That's my best, man. That's my best. That's my Gordon Gekko
I think
pitch.
It's good. Yeah. A girl's in the ruins of Detroit with no family runs into gangs. So was this based on a true story?
Yes, I grew up that way, and I was forced to fight the mob to Detroit when I was a little kid. And then I met a mentor who gave me armor that I could fly with. And my life, that's how it worked out. And I just tell my story.
The Shadowpunk theme song would make for great elevator music while you're pitching. Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. It's tough. I wanted to do something like that when I pitched. So that's why in the video I did what I did. We put my band's music under me narrating, and then, had the music kind of pick up after that. And,
cool.
And it worked, but I don't know. Some people said it wasn't as strong as it could be, but I felt like it was pretty cool.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
Because
if he walked onto the elevator when I gave my pitch, but some people enjoyed it, and some people look for a different pitch of a different sort.
Right.
He
said, I thought it was a good pitch. That's not a good sign, Dirk. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm an artist. Damn it, man. I'm an artist, not a salesman.
That's right. I mean, you have to become a salesman, just so you know.
That is totally true.
And it's the toughest part. It is the toughest part. I'll tell you what, man, like our pitch got better as we went along. You're going to sharpen that as you go. I would say practice it on people, practice it when you're on shows and everything else. If you're just hanging out with people, stuff like that, because the more you can pitch, the better you'll be. And you want to hit people up quick, the elevator pitch. So you want that between one floor to the next. That's how long you have to sell that book.
I will say this. When you said do it, I was ready.
Yeah.
So I'll give myself a little bit of credit.
That's what I thought.
I
didn't stutter.
I didn't stutter, right?
Yeah, I thought you did well.
But I could do it like in a world where she's living alone, right? I could do something. I could come up with something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got to find your hooks. So find your hooks in your pitch and make them compelling.
Right.
Does that make sense? So we've tried to do that. It's hard. It's an art. It really is an art. And so you'll get better at it though. And that's what they're saying. So, Mo says exactly, almost nobody walks into the game as a salesman. It's so true. We're getting there, and I feel like as much as your art is awesome, you still have to be able to talk about it.
Totally.
But I'll tell you, it's the hardest part for me. You got to become a jack of all trades while mastering one. Oh gosh, it's mastering them all actually, because geez, just to hang with some of these guys in CG is like, damn, it's tough, man.
Well, I'll say this though, and I think inherently you do have a very strong voice.
Oh,
you have a radio voice.
Well, thanks. I don't always feel like I do, but okay.
I mean, most of us talk out of our nose, right?
Yeah.
But some people talk out of their diaphragm or something different, and so take your strengths,
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own thing.
Sure. It's partially why I narrated our pitch, in our trailer. But could it have been better? Maybe. you know, and probably in several ways, but it's what we had at the time. And there comes a point where you just have to go for it, dude. Like, you can keep prepping and prepping and prepping, but at some point you actually have to stop prepping and go, it's time to go, man. It's time to do it. You know?
I did that with when I decided to launch, because I realized at a certain point I can spin my wheels in 2 pages forever. But you've got to get it out there and see what people think about it, you know. And I took a lot. I took a lot of advice from people because I knew that I didn't know. So I stepped back and I said, you know what, maybe they're right about this. I'm going to try it. One thing I did discover talking to different creators is that they all have their own kind of method to do their campaign. And some of them are like some guys are like living computers. They're like, you can tweak the percentages if you do this thing over here. And I'm like, I'm an artist. I don't know what you're talking about, right? Yeah. But some of them are very savvy, like the way they talk and the way they explain things. They're not. They're not. And so they all have different points of view, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to bring your personality to the table for sure. And that's what people become, you know, they become used to, and they like you because of your personality. So that's going to go a long way, you know. And I know a lot of people like you. You've been coming on into a lot of chats, and I've seen you around. You're on Twitter. You're hanging out with people, and that's a good thing.
Sure.
And so I think that works for you a lot too, you know. You know, I think a lot of people latched on to Murph and I. They like us. They think we're good dudes. I hope.
Right.
But, you know, and then the rest is, you know, you trying to push. But man, it's been a lot of work. So Mo says, tweak it, make it more immediate, and be excited. And practicing alone will make you sound bored when you pitch. Use her name. I think that's very good. You want
to use her name, Mira?
Uh-huh. Tell everybody, make them care about her.
So, yeah, that's a great advice. I mean, that's kind of why I made the animated. It's part of the reason I made the animated movie.
Yeah.
Which you haven't talked about because but it's one of those things where that is what I wanted people to watch it and go, at least I know who she is. Right. We were talking. We have a battle worn warrior. You know, and we were talking about that stuff, and then we were like, you know, who is Mare? You know, we talk about him, but who is he? What's he do? Why do we care who this guy is? You know, and you got to introduce people to the crux of why is he the hero. So right.
Yeah, it's good advice.
It is. It is.
Dirk has a nice voice, but his pitch still needs work. Yes, it does. I know. I'm getting there. Shadowpunk sounds a little like Fred from Scooby-Doo. Harness that. Enhance the mystery. Make us feel like part of the gang.
Oh, come on. How did that guy talk? He would like, oh, gosh, I forget. It's been so long.
It was a little higher pitch. I think it was just a little higher pitch, right?
Yeah, Scooby, come on. Let's go.
Yeah, it's like...
Come on, Wilma. Whatever her name was.
You got to do that with the Scooby. Oh, that's funny. So, yeah. Oh, look at that. So Shadow, he's got the Shadowpunk mailing list up. Felix does for you. Awesome.
So yeah, so I'm doing. I think I'm doing okay with my. I'm actually blown away that people actually signed up. They like my artwork and everything. I have about 221 signups right now.
That's awesome.
Right. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. You know, when I see the list, I'm like, these people love my work. They want to see more of it. And I'm like, that's very encouraging as an artist, you know.
It really is. It makes you feel so good that people are interested in what you're doing.
Totally.
And, now we were about 100 signups. I wish we would have tried to go further and that we would have waited for several reasons. For one, when we launched during Launchapalooza. Didn't mean to, but it's just when everybody decided, hey, at the beginning of the year, you know.
I see.
And then everybody did it. And we were like, oh my gosh, we were like, you know, a shrimp in a whole sea of fish, you know. And I just think it was bad timing. You know what I mean?
Well, I know that I don't really know when everybody's going to launch their books.
Sure.
Thanks, Crazy Man. Um, but it's one of those things where you like, you know, let's say I decide to launch and nobody big is launching when I launch,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they change your mind,
Sure.
right? Or
Sure.
whatever,
It's
or
okay if there's a couple going on during your time frame. But
is
we
there?
went but the problem was we went with like, gosh, I can't believe how many people went around us. Like Tiger Blue launched, which was a mega one. Terror in the Trenches came not long after us. Just several mega launches happened. And then, it was like every night Bancroft was putting somebody on and they were launching. And I think you just gotta, you know, you want to look at that. And the good thing is now we have CG now, you can kind of look at the calendar and go, how many people are wanting to launch at this time? And you can
Right.
kind of push it a little bit. So I would definitely say check that out.
Well, it's too late now because I'm launching on the
Well,
18th, no matter
yeah,
what.
right.
But
Sure. For you,
I,
yeah. But I think you're launching a good time, man.
well, I hope so. You might be right. I mean, it's good to have multiple. There's something about CG where if it's just like me launching on a date that week, you're like a loner, But it's
Sure.
nice to see that the different talents,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's to me that is one of the cool strengths of CG is that
It is.
whoa, we're all great and we all do kick-ass stuff, and it's great to see that is different than this.
Yes.
The styles are different, and then you think about the big two, and you go, these books, nobody buys the books anymore.
Right.
That's one of the things I love about CG is one thing we all have in common is that we all read Mike Zeck books, right? The artwork. We
Yeah.
all grew up the Secret Wars, and we all had that
Hell yeah.
that. See, I think that's why they're wiping out that culture on purpose.
I mean, it could be. It's tough to watch. You know, it's hard to say exactly why, but I mean, I know there's several reasons. But I love that this community exists. There's a lot of camaraderie that goes along with it, but the skill sets are amazing. It's awesome to see. We have quite a diversity of books when you actually look and see what the content is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like every time I look out there and see these books, I'm like, wow, what a great idea.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
all these books that are coming out, whether it's the superhero book or, it's sci-fi or, now is yours going to be more steampunk?
No,
No.
not at all. Not at all. It's
Okay.
it's
Cyberpunk?
sci-fi. It no, it's
Nope.
Shadowpunk.
Shadowpunk.
It's
It's its own thing.
it's closer to Mad Max
Oh,
than
cool.
it is to anything else.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. That's
but
cool.
people don't fly in Mad Max, and
Sure.
but for sure it's not anything like. I know there's that instant connotation, right?
Well, yeah, and then the look of things too, because she's got that, that rough look. I was thinking, ooh, are you borrowing a little bit from Cyber, a little bit from Steam, which is a great hodgepodge mashup. You know
It
what I mean?
is.
So
Yep.
it'd be cool to see it all, but if it's its own thing, that's even cool too.
Well, you know what it is? It's when I just come up with the idea, I wanted something that embodied 80s and 90s punk rock.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And
I
that's
I, I see that in it.
yes, that's what it is. And at
Okay.
one point, and I'm not saying this is impossible,
So she's caught
but
in a mosh.
well, I mean, that's her life is a mosh, right?
Yeah,
No doubt about it. She's really getting hit
you
bad,
gotta woo.
But I so there's a lot of influences in there, and by the time you end up making your book, it's never one thing,
Yeah, right.
right?
Yeah.
It's your book's a fantasy thing, but it's also more of this and some of that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, especially if you look at our influences and things like that. Yeah, we pour a lot into it. Yeah, I love to look at that too, and that's why even music, because I'm a music lover. I hate to put style onto the music a lot of times because I'm like, I don't like to say that they're rock or that they're this or that
Oh, I see. Right.
because I'm like, it's many things. You know what I
Right.
mean? And if you think it's more rock, great, but it could also have a little bit of jazz in there, or it might have rockabilly, or it might have whatever, but it makes it something really fucking cool.
Like the other day I was listening to the radio and I remember Georgia Satellites.
Oh yeah.
So that is so different than
Keep your hands to yourself.
Than Steely Dan, right? Who's like a jazzy rock. And then this is more like a rockabilly kind of thing.
So Steely Dan's perfect because they are a fusion of styles. They've got like this New York kind of sound.
Yes.
A little bit of R&B, a little bit of jazz, a little bit of rock, even some disco feel when you think about it.
They do like in what's that one song? Not Asia, but
Aja?
Black Cow.
It is Asia, isn't it? Asia. Yeah, I always say it wrong. Aja.
Yeah, Aja. But Black Cow, their song Black Cow, take your big black. So that's got like a funky feel to it.
Yeah.
Right? The beat's got the whole thing going on. You could make that into a disco song.
Hell yeah.
I mean, even Queen went disco, right? They had some songs that were kind of disco-esque, like well, I don't know, maybe Crazy Little Thing Called Love, right?
Yeah.
Right. But there was another one too, I'm sure. I know Freddie Mercury, I'm sure he was into that stuff, right?
Oh, I mean, when you think of Queen, they were very show tunes, but very rock, so it had that Broadway feel, and then it also has this very hard like guitar sound, so they're mixing.
What's
it's
funny?
Fusion.
It's a good point because I never did my friends love Queen and they're like, mental with this whole thing. And I'm like, I like it. It's okay. I like it. Yeah. Right. But they're like, but it's the operatic stuff is not my style.
Sure.
But I can see why people love it because it's super dramatic.
Oh yeah.
And it's super intense and it really draws you in. Right. I mean, hey, crucify me, it's not my favorite thing, right?
Yeah.
But I can see why people like it, and that guy can sing like nobody's business.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's one of the greatest rock vocalists of all time. So Steely Dan is perfect. Kick Dirk. So Mo is saying Kick Dirk. You know what? I really like some Steely Dan. I don't like everything, but I like some Steely Dan.
Yeah.
So wait, why does he say I'm not Shadowpunk? Probably isn't. I don't know.
What's he referring to?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Felix must hate Embrace too, and then I don't know where he's getting at down here. So we'll have to see if he follows up. Huh. But yeah, I don't know if Jay is. I don't know what they're talking about. Sign up for it. Dean, don't you believe in your project? Oh, okay. So Embrace 2. They're talking about Embrace 2. Embrace harder. Oh, look, people are signed up. I was going to Mo, but there's no link. Damn it, Felix, I'm being dramatic. I signed up on that train wreck of B-Row stream, D.
Oh, man. The other one the other night was like crazy.
Was it? I haven't.
Oh, my God.
I've been terrible, man. Like over the weekend, this last week, we've been doing a lot of baseball. And so kind of been out of the CG thing. I haven't been watching streams very much. I've been kind of busy doing some, it's getting into the crux of summer and there's just a lot going on. So
they have this thing on Indiegogo where somebody has a campaign where they're selling this thing called, it's a ridiculous name, but it's basically a rubber thing that you wrap around your balls and you use it to make your, hear me out, use it to make your balls harder so that you can use them as something that you have sex with.
Okay.
Right. And because we were talking about how some people got bumped on Indiegogo for having certain things in their campain.
Oh,
right. Like
shadow bans and all that stuff.
Yeah. And we're like, then this thing is on there, I mean, come on. So then Bancroft took the tool, the rubber thing, and then he put it over on top of B. Rose's head.
You know what? I did see that, and I didn't know what it was referring to. So I was like, what are they calling him Baldo for?
That's what it's called. That's the Baldo. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it does sound painful. I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
Oh. Woo. Question of the week: would you rather have "Reeling in the Years" be your alarm clock song, or use a Baldo? Ooh, I'll take "Reeling in the Years," Alex.
Well, but he means forever. So you feel like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, but I mean, every day is different, so it's okay.
And then
you can stop it at different points in the song. You can let different, you know what I mean?
Donald Fagen would become your arch enemy at a certain point, right? I mean, you use the Baldo once, and then maybe you never, walk again. But
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a tough question. So, okay, so back to your book. So Shadowpunk, you've done some animation, right?
Yes.
How far along is that?
The animated movie is finished.
Oh, really?
It was done before I even started doing the comic book ever.
Ooh, okay, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
It's on my I don't have a link because it's a different computer, but it's on my YouTube channel.
All right.
It looks so you've seen my trailer, right?
Yep.
So that's the beginning of it, and then it starts with her on the road with her family, and they're in like covered wagon times because they've resorted back to using animals and wagons to get around, and they're all traveling across country, and they don't realize it, but they're being set up by these people that are leading the caravan. And so it was about 9 minutes long, and I spent about 4 years working on it.
Woo.
And when I say 4 years, I mean 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
And what I was gonna, it was, don't ask me
why. Hugs Baldo.
What's that?
That hugs Baldo. Okay. Sorry, I had to use it somewhere. Right?
It's good. That's a radio thing, right?
Yeah.
You got to put it in there.
Yeah, you have to go back to it.
but I was gonna get a job doing animation, and I'd never done it before. And I said, "I'm gonna do."
Awesome.
Yeah, so I tried to do it, and I did it, and then but the world changed when I was doing it, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I can't go to California now, right?
Yeah.
Because the world's all messed up. So I said, I'm going to do the comic book, and which I love that I did. And so I do 3D, and that's kind of how I know how to do the sculpts.
Okay.
Because I've done sculpting and modeling to make the
3D animation.
And it's kind of strange in life how things kind of come together.
Oh yeah.
It is like I did not plan this, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So when I get onto Twitter, and I start realizing I got to learn how to color comic books, and I can color already, but I need to be able to do it well, right?
Yeah.
So I start coloring people like Ethan, and I learn how to do it, and then I post the stuff, and people start coming to my page.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now people actually want me to color their comic books.
Yeah, man.
And I'm like, that's very flattering.
Yeah. But it's striking. I mean, your pages are striking. That's what I keep going back to. I mean, it catches the eye, and that's the point. So you're hitting the mark there. That's for sure. I would love to be able to do the sculpts, because there's a part of me that thinks, my favorite thing is designing the characters.
Okay.
Even more so than drawing the panels of the comic, I love to design characters.
I got you.
And so to see them in a 3D sculpt or in a statue form or anything like that, it's exciting to me.
Have you done any 3D ever?
I haven't, and I wish I would. I wish I could.
It's no more different than saying I'm going to learn how to draw a comic book, but you've already ramped up to that.
Yep.
Right. Yep. That is really depressing to look at that number.
Yeah, it is.
You've crushed my spirit and my soul, or maybe you've elevated it. I'm not sure, right? I mean, because I came
a lot of hard work.
Well, I came through it.
I think about that for the comic, man. It's like, how long does it take you to read a comic, right? So half an hour, 15 minutes, whatever. Right. And man, that took me 5 years to draw that.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
So yeah, it's very disheartening, but then, you got to keep rolling on, man. It's about loving it and passion.
But the beauty of you doing your comic book, though, all of us, I guess, is that you own like intellectual property now.
Yeah.
That you can in some ways you could always benefit
Yeah.
from, you know, and you can do another one and have both.
That's right.
You know, and if people enjoy it, so what if it takes them half an hour? I mean,
that's it. Yeah. You know, for me, like, I was always into He-Man. Love the designs of the characters of He-Man.
Real good.
Actually, there were so many great designs for characters in the 80s that it's off the chain.
Yeah.
So if you took G.I. Joe, every person was a new character design. You know, they didn't just have one similar uniform, except for like some of the army guys. But
sure.
But the normal dudes, like the guys you got to see and know, they all had their own character. And then, you know, properties like Mask, like, you know, they had all the helmets. Do you remember those at all?
The Mask helmets?
Yeah, Mask. Do you remember that at all?
Like Jim Carrey?
Nope. They were, it was back in the day of like Voltron and all that.
Okay.
But these guys, they made little like probably 3-inch figures, 3.5-inch figures. And they all had their own special kind of helmet with its own special power.
Oh, cool.
And so, you know, it was pretty cool. And they drove like regular vehicles that would transform into weapons and things like that. But it was a great design. And I thought, damn, everything they're making is for the toys. You know, Transformers were coming around, you know, that time. So,
you know, you make a good point that era created so much rich character stuff. Yeah. Transformers, I mean, you look at it now and you go, it's almost like well, of course. But before it happened, you know, nobody ever did it until somebody came up with a great idea. And they're fantastic, cool. You know?
Yes. And some of the greatest character designs of all time, in my opinion, you know? Yeah. When you see Optimus Prime, you know without a doubt who that is every time. And it's fantastic.
It is.
We started getting. Oh, they're talking about going to Bancroft doing question of the week. That is a Murph and Dirk exclusive, guys. That's an exclusive for us. Got to keep our lore on our channel, not let everybody else get it. I did it earlier, but it didn't show up in the chat, and I had to step out for work at the very beginning. Yeah, I mean, that's okay, man. I saw Mrs. Goodstuff try to answer, and I didn't know what she was answering. It just said something about being an archer, and I thought, what the hell is she talking about? So,
by the way, Mrs. Goodstuff won one of my figures.
Oh, did she?
So I had the raffle giveaway of and so she won the painted Shadowpunk figure, which is the first one ever to get out. And I sat down and thought about it. And I'm like, so I worked so long to craft that character and to craft and design it and then make the figure and then paint it. And I'm like, I'm glad she got it. She's in the community. She's awesome. And I was like, it's so good that somebody that is. I'm just happy somebody got it, you know.
Well, man.
I did the Cyberfrog one, and one guy in South Africa, Cape Town, won it.
Nice.
So now I was able to send my work, you know, on the other side of the world.
Yeah, man. Right? I think that's awesome too. That's one thing that I've been I'm still in awe of a little bit, to be honest.
What's that?
Just the fact that I'm able to connect with some of the people like in Australia.
Yes.
You know, Kemosabe in Australia is, you know, worked with us a little bit, like helping. He did a little bit of editing for Ballad of the Celestials, and you know, we're probably going to have him do the next book too, and get a bigger role in the next book, which is cool. So it's you know, our colorist was from Brazil, and it's just amazing to think about, you know, how widespread we are because of a comic book.
Hey, Crazy Man, you could win one. This week is Tiger Blue, because I did the sculpt for Tiger Blue.
Nice.
Talk about the connections with other people. And then the next one that's coming out after that is a big one. And you're going to love it, and you're going to blow your mind. And I'm going to keep your eyes open.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Oh, Crazy Man. So he goes, who's coloring Ballad? Well, we're not going to announce that yet. We're still letting him do some touches up. He's touching up a page right now. He sent to us, and we got it back, and it wasn't quite where we were going with it, and it's okay. He did a good job. It's just, we're trying to match a little bit of the feel. So once we feel like he's getting on board with that, I think we'll make an announcement. So sorry to put that off a little longer, but the good thing is we are working with somebody, and hopefully he's going to be able to take it on and do what we need. So if it wasn't said by a character in a word balloon, he missed most of what happened in every comic he read. Laugh out loud. Oh, man. I have a Tiger Blue 3D print I got from Maddie when I met him at Indy. Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love doing that character when I was sculpting them. And I based it off of Tom Dubois did the illustration, the color illustration.
Oh, okay.
I can't beat that pose. And when I talked to Fowler, I'm like, I'm going to do that one. And I wanted him to feel like it was just lunging at you, right? Pure muscle. Right.
Yeah, that's cool. I liked it. I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Didn't they do an action figure as well besides your sculpt?
Yes, they did a stand-up one.
A stand-up, okay.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the normal action figure look can be a little funny if they don't get it right. You know what I mean? I've seen action figures really come out not quite the way they should. Does that make sense? Like
you mean like Han Solo Star Wars that looks weird?
Yes, that. So faces are messed up, the molds are weird, but then also the way the body is. You know what I mean? And it's probably because to get like the movements that you need for an action figure, like a Todd McFarlane action figure, it costs so much to get all those pieces and intricate parts.
Yes.
But if I was going to do one, I mean, you kind of want it to go the full way, right? Like the whole movement thing.
Well,
I guess that's the way I feel.
I think both are valid. Because I think if you have a guy that you can pose, is pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't deny it. That's pretty neat. But there's something in my mind also that's mythical and beyond. It's like a Remington horses, right? They would do those sculptures. And when you get it right, the sculpt is pretty amazing.
It is,
right?
Yeah.
And so they're two different animals.
Yeah. I love the sculpt because when they're in an action pose or doing something, or even if they're just standing there and looking interesting, you know what I mean? I'm okay with that. But sometimes when they make the action figures and they're limited in movement, it's almost frustrating. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I would rather have a sculpture than a limited movement, in my action figure.
You know what's, back in the day when I was a kid, I had remember the Micronauts?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember I had a Baron Karza that had magnets, and that's what connected his arms and his shoulders and his.
Oh yeah.
And what a brilliant idea, right? I don't know if it's expensive or not expensive, but man, it's like that gives you the mobility. I mean, maybe it's too much because a guy could go like this, and the head can spin around if you wanted to. But, the other day I was at a store and I saw they had the Ripley and then the Alien, and they were hand painted. I think they look, and I remember going, "Hey, how much time did it take to paint that thing?" Yeah,
and that's awesome. I mean, that's what I think about the McFarlane toys, how intricate those are. But I mean, that's something to aspire to. So this says the Luke and Han and Stormtrooper outfits are the rare ones, right? Yeah.
Are they really? That makes sense.
Yeah, they're hard to come by. I have a lot of the old original Star Wars toys still in a Darth Vader collector case.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I kept those. Didn't let my kids get a hold of those. But a lot of the newer ones, I collected some of the newer ones when the first movie or when the sequels came out, or the prequels, I'm sorry. And then I just let my kids just take them and play with them and save those.
Have you watched Kenobi?
I have.
Any thoughts on it?
I like aspects of it. Um, better than what I thought it was going to be, but there are some problems. So just a couple little things, nothing that I would be like, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever, because I'm usually not that negative. I like some of the entertainment, but
Right.
I know there's a lot of people on here that's like Disney, F Disney, and I'm like, well, I'm not quite that level.
Well, I tell you what, when I watched episode 3, I love the way that they made Obi-Wan Kenobi to sort of be way overwhelmed now.
Yeah,
When he's fighting Vader, spoilers alert,
yeah,
when he's fighting Vader, that was so cool that they made him, he's weak and he's afraid. I love that. The one thing I didn't understand that didn't make common sense, okay, is that Vader is moving him around to some degree.
sure,
But when the fire happens and he gets
yeah,
divided, he couldn't
yep.
come over here.
Yeah, exactly. He's got that's the problem, and that's what I was telling you about. I it's problematic story wise,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, the looks were cool and I understand Obi being out of practice and kind of wanting to lose touch of the Force because he's like, look, I gotta hide. I need to stop doing this for now so they don't find me. I totally get that. That makes sense, but for Vader to not sense him, that was weird. I thought it was weird that once he did, Vader could have done a lot more to him, and so for them to be confronting each other that early in the story, I felt that like it was just too early. But
Oh,
then,
you think so?
yeah, and then because then he watches this robot just take Kenobi away, and you're like, what
Strange.
yeah,
Right?
why would
Yeah.
he do
There's
that?
a thing called the Force.
Yeah,
He can actually go, come over here.
Yeah, so it just made no sense to me.
Although, can I say something that just occurred to me?
Sure.
What if he saw how pathetic Kenobi was and he said, live with it, right? I'm still coming after you. I know now who you are. I'm better than you are now, right? And so maybe they'll bring that back in,
Maybe, but I don't. I mean, I think the hatred he would have, I don't think he would care.
Maybe.
Unless he still did care for Kenobi, you know.
Well, in the next episode or something, he could say they could allude to that, or they could say
right.
something like, Vader, why didn't you kill him?
Yeah.
And he'll say he was so pathetic.
I mean, here's the thing. I want to love Star Wars so bad because that was my favorite growing up.
Sure.
And I feel like they've ruined it since,
totally.
up until The Mandalorian. That was the first thing that came out that's, lived up. And then Book of Boba took us right down to the bottom again.
Man,
for
didn't
me,
it?
yeah,
Didn't
it sucked. It had great ideas, couldn't follow through, and left me thinking, why is Mandalorian better than Boba Fett? I don't understand it. So,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way I feel that like they're portraying him. So that I'm in a bad way, but I want to love Star Wars because I do love deep down Star Wars.
Sure.
But I feel like what they've been doing to it isn't Star Wars anymore. So I've kind of left it, and I've had to kind of leave it and just act like, well, just the original movies and nothing else except for Mandalorian, maybe. But
okay,
it's a tough one.
I'll say, okay, I know this is contestable because everybody has their own opinion.
Yeah,
I really do like Revenge of the Sith. I think that was a fantastic movie, and I'll be honest with you, I think it's equal with the other movies.
Right.
And the reason, so one of the things I learned over time watching it was that okay, do you remember the scene where Anakin is talking to the Emperor, to Palpatine, and they're at like the theater,
right?
And they're sitting, and the theater, the thing they're watching is like an orb, like an egg.
Yeah.
And there's these like squirmy things swimming around it. I'm like, gee, that's he's telling you something. Lucas is telling you something, right? And then they keep showing these side shots of Anakin and the Emperor, like dimes, like the side of a dime, right? Profiles. Yeah. And I'm like, what are they telling you? And what they're telling you is that Palpatine, okay, the Immaculate Conception thing was bullshit.
Sure.
Right.
Hated it.
He went, and the reason why he hated it is because you knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
So Palpatine put the mojo on the mother.
Hell yeah.
And so he also orchestrated her dying with the same people because he knew that he wanted to mess with him in a deep, deep way.
Sure.
Right. And so at the end of the thing, the corny thing, when he steps out of the thing, like Frankenstein, he goes like that, right? Vader, at the very end of it. I'm like, at first it felt very corny, but now I understand why it is. Because from beginning to end, he's been building and creating Anakin.
Yeah.
Right? In more ways than I couldn't have imagined.
Yes. And I think that's interesting. I just felt like there were so many other problems. It was hard to grasp onto all of that. You know? And yeah, I get all that. And I do think Palpatine, I loved the way Palpatine acted in those movies. I thought he was great. He's very dramatic, and I love the way that he acted in that.
Yeah.
There were so many other problems. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, come on. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. And I could even get over those movies. But once they made Luke a coward, once they made Luke something he just was never...
Oh, you mean
before
in
the newer movies?
Yeah,
it ruined it all for me, man. It just took it all away, and I was like, you took one of the greatest heroes of all time.
Yes,
you know?
Yeah.
And you made him a punk. You punked him out. You made him a coward. You took his soul and you crushed it, and then
crushed our soul.
Yeah, and then you crushed us. I mean, and I'm like, that ruined it all for me. And I was like, yeah, I just can't do this anymore.
Well,
so I bowed out, man. I was very angry. Like, it was soul crushing.
Yeah. So I do know one thing, that if you're going to spend half a $500 million on a movie, you know exactly who's going to produce it, and you know who's going to direct it. And so there's no way they would have spent the money and not known what they were going to do.
Yeah,
the producers who spent the money, they know Disney. They know that they were going to destroy Luke Skywalker, our heroes, right? And the other thing too is Boba Fett is a hard ass, the hardest hard ass of the universe.
Yes,
if he's not that, then he's a mush. He's like,
and that's what he was. I mean, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to be, democratic in all this. Come and work for me. You guys are great. I'll let you ride your Vespas in my castle. It's going to be awesome." Yeah, what the hell was that?
So it's so sad when
it is
the Boba Fett one, and that is like rubbing my nose in it.
It is. It just is like, yeah, we can do what the hell we want now. And I'm like, so what, Boba Fett? To me, if Boba Fett can get Wookiee braids, you know what I mean? And he's fought against Jedi before and came out on top.
Right.
What the hell? Why aren't we seeing that?
Right.
And then let's really get down to brass tacks. We have a whole bounty thing that we never even get into with him. That would be cooler to watch than any of this other future shit. So why not make him young again, put him as a bounty hunter, and actually fight IG-88? Why isn't IG-88 the villain?
Right.
They wrote a book on it. It was badass.
Oh, did they?
Make them fight. Yeah. But they acted like all those books were like not canon anymore. And I'm going, you missed one of the greatest opportunities in film history. Like, that would have been some badass shit.
Yes.
And all the fans would have been like, whoa. And instead, you made him this democratic ruler, who was very nice. And I'll forgive you for, shooting at me. Which we know Boba Fett never would have forgiven anybody.
Never.
He would have taken their hide. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. So Vader would never kill someone weak unless they were like a youngling or something, I guess. That's awesome. Hey, Corey, thanks for coming, man. Nice to meet you.
Okay, he's talking about my theory, and he makes a good point.
I'm delayed in getting to the chat, so yeah.
So let me just say something to him. So, Tomo, that your point is correct, but when he sees how pathetic the guy that beat him is, that does bolster his. That's a little bit of a victory for him. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So I like Shadowpunk's Vader point of view. I can see it. Obi-Wan was pathetic to Vader and was suffering and will continue to suffer even though he got away for now. Yeah, I agree with that too. I just I hope they get a little better and a little stronger. Kick Shadowpunk. Crazy Mad's a big Star Wars fan too, and he and I
that's cool.
had a couple good discussions,
Cool.
which is awesome. We usually see eye to eye on things, but sounds like we're varying a little on the Obi-Wan thing. I don't think Revenge of the Sith is on the level of OT, but it's by far the best of the prequels. I mean,
okay, were the Ewoks from Revenge of the Sith?
No,
that's a bonus, right?
Yeah,
right there, that's a bonus.
Yeah, but okay, and my whole thing about that was they had one of the best villain designs of all time, right? With what's his name? Darth Maul.
Oh, sure.
And like he was awesome looking. When I first saw him, I thought, oh my gosh, where are they going with this? Like this is going to be off the chain. And then the battle they had with him when he fought Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Super cool.
It's the greatest Jedi battle we've ever seen.
Yeah.
It is the best that we've ever seen to this day, except maybe in games, right?
Well, it's the best combat battle.
Yeah.
The Luke against Vader in the Sky City was my favorite.
I mean, that was cool, but that had more of a dramatic,
psychological
thing. That's different. Yeah.
Right.
But as far as Jedi's just kicking ass against Sith, I mean, damn, that was, man, how cool is that? And he was so menacing looking. I thought, okay, he's going to be the next, like, almost Darth Vader, and then Vader's going to kill him, which is going to make Vader even like better, you know what I mean? And then they bring in Count Dooku and fuck over Maul, and I was like, what the hell are we? We're going with some old dude.
Did you ever watch the Clone Wars cartoon?
Yes, I did.
Did you watch the last couple seasons? There was
yeah, it was great. And what they did to tie in like some of the other stories with it too, I thought that was awesome.
I mean, there was that whole thing where the Emperor comes to Mandalore, and he what's his name? Your guy with the double lightsaber, what's his Maul?
Yeah,
Maul has his own apprentice. He manhandles them, and he's loving doing it. Right.
Right.
That was so cool. I'm like, man, this guy is just wicked.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see, the sequels are a travesty. They're just, I don't even think they exist anymore. I think a show on Jabba would be a hit. You're probably right. You could do a lot with Jabba. The gangster world, I mean, I think that would be fantastic. But tie it in. See, that's where they could have tied it in really cool with Boba Fett, because, I love the idea of him killing, whoever was in charge of Jabba's palace. Bib Fortuna. Okay. I love that he went after him and killed him and did all that. I thought that was a great start for the story. Sure. But then it just petered out after that. It was like you had one good idea to get him there, and then you did nothing else to make him a badass.
Yeah.
And then they had another great bounty hunter. I can't think of his name right now. Who's the other bounty hunter, guys? Help me out. But he comes along, and he's the one that walks up, to the town and kills the sheriff. Did you see that episode?
I saw the episode about
blue face.
Oh, Cad Bane.
Yeah, Cad Bane. He's another great bounty hunter.
Super cool, yeah.
And he didn't even live up to the hype, and he was great in the Clone Wars. If you ever watched some of that, stuff.
Totally, yeah. Absolutely.
So I was like, "What is going on?" Damn, man, these people, they're phoning it in, man.
Here's the other thing that they did with the Boba Fett. Okay, Boba Fett has his right-hand man. It was that woman.
Yeah.
So the way they wrote her, how there's a rule in writing, don't use words that are obvious that the people watching it are going to clearly know read it before you say them.
Yeah.
And every word she said, I'm like, I already thought that. Right? Yep. And she's very obvious, very boring.
Yes. On the point. Yeah.
On the point.
Very boring. Did the Ewoks ever say, no? I hate when he does that. It's the worst. The Ewoks weren't all bad. At least they gave us Yub Nub. Yeah, that's right. One thing I always respected about the Clone Wars cartoons, they didn't get all hung up on having a cool or at least respectable art style that was pleasing to the eye.
That's hardcore, man. That's hardcore. I mean, it got pretty good at the end. It really did. It
I
got
liked
really
it.
sweet. I
Did you
liked it
watch?
too.
Did you watch Rebels?
A lot of them. I didn't, not all of
I
them.
think Rebels was better than Clone Wars, but the way they tied it together, because they added those episodes at the end of Clone Wars to make it all make sense, and
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
"Damn, they did a great job." But that's Dave Filoni. He went in, and he did a great job with that. And I was like, "Okay, they tied in Order 66, and then how Ahsoka
Yes.
ties into that." I thought it was great. Good story writing, and Rebels was very well done. In fact, if they would do a movie on the Rebels, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
One of the
So,
things I loved about it too is the way that they redesigned Vader a little bit, where he looks more like the Ralph McQuarrie drawings.
oh
I'm
yeah, yeah,
like, I'm
yeah,
like, wow, he looks a little more Japanese,
yeah. He's
and I'm
rougher
like,
edged.
man,
Yes.
super cool.
Oh yeah, it was. Cad Bane. Yeah, and yeah, we're just catching up. We're way behind on the chat here, but or we were way behind. So yeah, I mean, to me, um, I could talk about Star Wars for hours. Really, I could do probably several
Forever,
shows
man.
on it. Yeah,
Totally.
and but mostly I'm just complaining all the time because I'm so heart hurt over,
Yeah.
like just over Luke for one thing. But let alone the Book of Boba because I had so much hope in that. After Mandalorian, I thought this is going to be awesome, you know. But then the highlight of Book of Boba was whenever Mandalorian showed up. I was like, why is this the highlight?
Yeah.
What
Right.
is cool now? And
It's interesting.
yeah, and I was like, that's not the way it should be, man. Mandalorian
Well,
should be cool, but when you see Boba, dude, that I just don't get it. Like to me, there's kind of a hierarchy.
do you
You know what I'm
remember
saying?
in The Mandalorian there was a scene where Boba Fett was in it? A couple episodes, right?
Yeah,
At
yeah,
the end. And so they were on some water world and they ran into a bunch of other Mandalorians.
yep,
And so Boba Fett was fighting with one. He was doing his flamethrower,
uh
and
huh.
they were fighting in some kind of like bar or something.
Okay,
And I remember going, and it was a standoff.
sure.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, yeah,
Standoff
yeah,
with Boba Fett. Are you like a Jedi master? Otherwise, bullshit. I
yeah.
remember thinking that's so lame.
It was lame, and if you know anything about the Mandalorians, they're pretty damn tough.
They are.
So it, it's I don't know. It's the writers not knowing what they need to do. You know what I mean? They're taking on characters that they didn't have a love for, and they're just trying to write them so they're cool. They're missing a lot of the old, like lore.
Nuances
Um,
and
yeah, and what made the old show, like the old original Star Wars, cool.
right,
Um, you know, to me, some of the best Star Wars feel is if you go back and watch Han Solo in the cantina, right? Whenever he kills Greedo,
right,
that's the badassery we want to see. It's
right,
when he shot first, not when he shot after.
right, right. Of course,
So,
that goes
um,
without saying.
yeah, when you saw Han Solo sitting in that bar like he was a badass and didn't care, you know what I mean? You're like, okay, this guy, he he is in charge of what's going on. He don't care if people are after him or whatever. He's gonna take it head on. He's like a Clint Eastwood character at that point. It's very
Well,
much a western.
you know how like character development through the series is important because every you live through the characters, right? So Han Solo stops being that, he becomes more responsible.
Yeah,
And he in one case that is not good for Han Solo. It
right.
makes him a less interesting character, right? I mean, I know they try to peel that back in the sequels, but it didn't work.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's I think they need to really go back and read some of the books. They threw away a lot of those books, and some of the books were the best things written. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
they're missing a lot of really cool stories that would have made great movies, and they would have killed it at the
Well,
box.
there was an episode where in the Clone Wars where Yoda goes to the Sith planet.
Yeah,
Do you remember that? And he
yeah,
goes into the tomb and they finds another Darth Bane, I think it was. I'm like, there's so many ideas like what you're talking about that you could do
Yeah.
other than, make watered down Boba Fett stories.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
and Mo says, that's another thing about the special editions. Jabba put a bounty on Han that Greedo was trying to collect. Next scene, Jabba and Han are speaking face to face. Yeah. And then Han disrespects him and he just lets Han leave. Like he walks on his tail, right? Isn't that what you're talking about, Mo? He walks on his tail. And I'm like, that's some bullshit. But
it's a good reason why they should have left it out.
Yeah, like exactly. Yeah, because the original has mystique to it. And like when you go back and watch Outlaw Josie Wales and the Clint Eastwood stuff, right? You really get a feel for that, the outlaw, and that's really what Han is. He's an outlaw.
Yes.
And Chewbacca starts off that way too. Of course, he becomes more lovable as you get to know him, and so does Han. But that first shot, you're thinking, "Oh my God, this guy's awesome." You know what I mean? And I love that opening feel for them. And I wish they would have caught on to that and used that more, which Mandalorian actually did that. They caught on to that and they built off of it, which made everybody fall in love with it.
Part of me thinks the reason why they give us these tidbits of greatness is that they just want to string us along.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I just occurred to me, but I'm,
Yes, that's exactly. It's dangling the carrot, but it's dangling it in such a, distorted way. You know what I mean?
Because otherwise we would never tune in ever.
Oh, yeah, it's true. So Han's arc was erased in episode 7. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's ridiculous. And Han definitely shot first. Yeah, he did. I agree. Definitely shot first. So, okay. We could talk Star Wars forever. We're supposed to talk about Bart Sears, right? Like we totally
right, exactly.
That'll be another show. We are going to talk about Bart Sears eventually because I love the art of Bart Sears. And so we'll get back to that. And I want to use that thumbnail again. So I'm going to do that. So Immortal, there's no such thing as episode 7. Yes.
Believe it. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, I pretend they didn't exist. I hate them. I can't stand them. And I will not give them any more of my money for that.
One thing that makes it even worse is the fact that when the thing they call episode 7 came out, it seemed like, wow, this could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right. There's and the Millennium Falcon and Tatooine going. I'm like, this could actually, and then it
moments
just
of greatness again.
It's sunk in, right? It's slowly sunk in that this is going to be not what we think it is.
When you first meet the characters, and you're kind of getting to like them, right? The first 3, like the 3 new characters, you're starting to like the girl a little bit because she's interesting. You like that the guy was a stormtrooper and he's escaping. What a great story arc, right? Because we haven't really seen that side of things. So it's neat. It's interesting. And then they become friends and you're thinking, wow, they really are going to kind of build a new feel for like a new friendship group like Han and Luke and Leia, right? Well, and Chewbacca. But instead, the next movie, they split them all apart, put them on separate places. They don't even there's nothing like at stake. They put the guy, I can't think of his name. The guy that was a stormtrooper, Finn, is that his name?
Finn, yeah, right.
He goes off on some side mission that has no bearing on the whole story. He just ends up going there, meeting this girl, with this girl who had a sister on a ship somewhere. They come back and it doesn't even affect the story. Like they just were on a side mission for no reason.
Filler.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Poe, who you want to think is cool because he's a pilot and cool, but he gets sidelined by a bunch of women and told what to do, So they emasculate him right on screen. And then you're like, what the hell? Yeah. So then you're like, okay, so 3 new great characters, you turn to shit.
When I saw the woman,
you don't have fun with them anymore.
The woman with the purple hair that chewed out Poe, I remember going, if you haven't gotten it yet, oh yeah, this is what this bullshit's about, right? Yes. And They're dressing down. And by the way, they're going to come up with a plan.
Yes.
Right. And they're going to be the smart ones because you're just a dumb man.
Yeah, exactly.
You can move the boxes and you can clean things and then you can get in the ship and kill yourself. Yep. But we'll come up with a super plan. I'm like, they kind of did that with Rogue One a little bit too, because in Rogue One, all the bad guys were white men. Even like her father, who he was trying not to, but he couldn't help it. He's gonna, and so all the good guys were either women or people of color, and it's almost like they're trying to make normal people in the world look at the world this way.
Yes.
Right.
That's what they want.
And pit us against each other.
Political views. Yes. It's and agendas and everything. Yeah. And it ruins it. It ruins it for everybody because, Star Wars was mostly about relationships, like father-son issues and stuff like that. Right. Which is universal and you can play with that. But once you start getting into the preachy mode, then you're losing the fun and you're losing the fantasy and it becomes too real. And then, then you lose your fans. And once you lose your fans, what the hell else you got? It just makes sense.
That's why they should have had the next 7, 8, and 9. They should have been about the Skywalker family. And it should have been in a better way. Like, for example, Luke would have had a kid and there would have been a new Darth Vader or something, whatever,
I would rather they didn't even go 7, 8, and 9. I just wish they would have started a new story set in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
And then it could have been whatever they wanted with new characters. But they didn't have to take the old characters and kill them all off in the new movies.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think they were even going to kill Chewbacca in the final film in episode 9. But then they realized, they faked you out. They blew him up in a ship. But then he ends up showing up later because it was a fake ship. It was like a fake out. And I thought, if they kill Chewbacca, I'm going to lose my fucking shit, because why would they do that? And of course they blew him up. And then I thought they did it. They just crossed the final line to take out all the original characters that everybody loves, absolutely loves. And then he shows up later, and I was like, okay. So I think that was a fix. I think they realized that they shouldn't do that. So they went ahead and fixed it and brought him back.
Okay.
But to be honest, I think originally they probably had it planned where they were going to kill them all off. I really do. I do believe that.
Do you think it could have been also that they were going, screw you? Oh, no, wait, we're just joking.
Yeah, now see this. Heard they changed Chewie's death because it tested real bad. See, that's what I'm saying. I think
maybe that's what it is. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Originally they were going to do it. So all the original characters, between Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewbacca, they were going to kill them all off. And they did, except for Chewbacca. I don't know why my dog is howling. I don't know if you can hear him doing that.
I can, yeah. But I love dogs.
Sorry about that.
I want to keep doing it.
But so I guess the way I think is that if you're doing that, there's definitely a purpose for it. And it's a nefarious purpose. It's nothing, it's nothing good, because why would fans want to see that happen? So,
it's almost like when they try to kill Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
It's like at least in comic books, it's never going to be permanent.
Sure.
There's too much money involved. But with Chewbacca, you're like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. And so, Mo says if they change things based on test audiences, how was The Last Jedi even released?
Well, they might have had the normal test audience, and then they got the blue hair people test audience, and then the
test audience they paid.
You're right, exactly. They can get any answer they want.
Yeah, they can get the answers. But they knew, I think they just knew that they would lose probably a lot of people if they found out Chewbacca died. But
sure.
So they kept at least one. But one of the biggest grievances I had of those movies too was once Han did die, in episode 7, they didn't even have Leia and Chewbacca hug. Not once.
Really?
Yeah. Leia and Chewbacca didn't even hug. They didn't even console each other. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
right.
they both loved Han, right? How could that not be a normal
How could it
thing for
not
them
happen?
to? Yeah. So what they do, they just kept them separate, and she hugs Ray. Ray hugs Leia.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. Ray don't even know Han. She just met him on the trip there, and she's heartbroken over Han. Are you freaking kidding me? But the one, his best friend, who had a life debt to him, and the love of his life, and you're going to tell me they're not going to console each other?
Right, totally.
Like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. I can't do it.
You know, if they were hypothetically, if you were going to kill Chewbacca, you would do it in a way that was so heart wrenching that in the story, like for example, let's say he saved everybody or something like that, right? Where you go, not only did he die in the greatest way possible, you would say it was worth it, and that would be hard to write. But I don't, you know, they did not do that.
Yeah,
and not anything close to that.
Yeah, I agree. You know, make it impactful. If you're going to take out a character like that, it has to have a major ripple effect in the story. It has to be for a purpose, a good purpose. Even if they would have killed Han, if they would have done it well, I wouldn't have had such a, you know, a hard feeling about that. But because I knew that, what's his name, that plays Han wanted to die, he wanted that character to die.
Yeah. I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, quite honestly, watching Harrison Ford in the Star Wars movies is painful because I know he thinks that, and I know his heart is not into it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you know, we're stuck with Mr. Bad Attitude because he doesn't care anymore. And at least Mark Hamill is like, yeah, I'm doing it, even if they write shitty stuff, I'll do it.
I mean, I wish he would have fought a little harder for his character. Because I mean, he kind of contested the whole way, right? Or protested the whole way, but he still had to do it under obligation. But
once they pay him a shitload of money, he's gotta do whatever they want.
And then they paid him probably to like shut his mouth and make it sound positive because that's what he did later on. But he knew. I mean, he knew early on that he was like, "What the hell? Like, this isn't Luke." And you know, Boba Fett even did the same thing. The guy that plays Boba Fett, he said, I had to go to the directors and tell them, hey, I'm opening my mouth too much. You know, my helmet's off too much. And and they were like, no, this is good. It needs to be off. It needs to be part of the story. He's going to talk and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, wait, you know. And so even he was protesting against like these
because he's just another guy at that point.
Right. And it's because you're like, what are you doing? The whole mystique of Boba Fett is his helmet.
The trademark is gone.
Yes.
And by the way, not only the trademark, the coolest trademark you could ever wish for.
Yes.
Besides Darth Vader.
I mean, he's the reason. Boba Fett is a big reason why we have a character in our book, like called Shush. He's going to be very mysterious like that. We're going to not give you a lot of story on the guy, you know. We don't want to reveal who he is. And that's what Wolverine used to have.
Yeah, totally.
Where they told his origin story. So Wolverine used to be that guy in Marvel Comics. He used to be the mysterious badass that
could do anything.
Yeah, but you wanted to know more about, but you never were going to get there. You know what I mean? And man, how did that make you that much more intrigued, into that character? And they forgot about that kind of stuff.
With the Hugh Jackman movies, he was a really good Wolverine, but the thing is, you can't really put that guy in that role without him being sensitive Wolverine sometimes, because it's going to pay off financially for the movies. And by the way, when you do that, that's going to ruin it for people like you and me.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like, the women are, okay, I'm not trying to be whatever, but there are some people that are going to go to see Hugh Jackman in the movie. They want to see him tender. They want to see him sensitive Wolverine. And
yeah, I mean, I hate that, but yeah. But I think you can get sensitive because he did have relationships with women in the comics. So he did get sensitive.
That's
you got to play it right. You got to know the character. You got to write it right. You got to work with it. Instead, they get very one-dimensional and they think this is what it has to be. And it's like, no, there's several layers to this character, but that doesn't mean you have to tell his origin story, you know? And just because you don't know where to take the character right now doesn't mean there's a lot of places we can't go with him. It just means you're bored. I mean, that's what I would say to those guys. Like, to tell his origin, you ripped everything away. So
on a total different side note, you remember in Logan, the girl had the pink sunglasses?
Yes.
So in my animated movie, I gave those to to Mira, my Shadowpunk.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, I wanted her to have some kind of like thing she found on the road, you know.
Sure, that's cool.
No, nobody would ever see it, but you know.
No, that's really cool. Little tip of the hat.
Because you know the goofy sunglasses say, "I don't give a shit."
Yeah, man.
Right?
Yeah.
To the world. I'm doing my goofy thing and I don't care, you know.
Right.
I wanted that thing. And I love the Logan movie was pretty good. I really liked it. And it's kind of weird that he died, but
yeah. Yep.
But still, I like it.
Yep. I think the OT was R2 and 3PO's story. All other trilogies should have followed that. Yeah, I mean, it was their point of view the whole way through, which is why they tried to do that in the newer films, which I don't think worked. So they should have stopped and jumped into something new. Crazy mad. Wolverine was always hanging around teenage girls for reasons. Awesome.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But I mean, to me, watching those movies like that, Star Wars and some of those characters, I mean, we learned how to tell our stories, right? And so now when we see something that messes that up, we're like, what? And so it's exactly what we said. You know, like when I went back to this, The Love of His Life, I got the feeling they kind of forgot Han and Leia had a relationship. Yeah. They made it where they were kind of this, estranged couple. I get that. That happens to people, right? But man, he's the father of her children, right? So even when there's all that heartache, even when there's that stuff that happens, she still has feelings for him, even if it's been suppressed.
Let me ask you this then. Do you think it would even be conceivable that the people that the writers said Harrison Ford is such a dud, he doesn't want to be here, and if we put them in try to get them to have chemistry, that they might not have it?
Sure.
And,
and
it might make the movie even worse than it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, but that's why sometimes you got to go, okay, we don't need a movie.
That's totally true.
I think sometimes that's why I was saying, move on to something new. Give us new characters. Go back 1,000 years before all this happened and give us a bunch of new characters.
Give us the Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Why not? And by the
way,
how
rich of a group of characters that would be. You know what I mean?
They could have done the same thing. They could have done like 1,000 years, 800 years before, and you could have seen Baby Yoda instead of Grogu.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. You could see that. You could see just all kinds of cool. They could use not Cad Bane, but Darth Bane. They could use all kinds of people in there in the lore, but that had a history, and they could tell all new stories. So
some of those stories are like about the old Sith are pretty interesting.
Yeah, they are.
They're like, this is like, they hinted at it with Darth.
Yeah, it's a rich lore, man. And that came from a lot of the it's called EU.
Extended universe.
Thank you for that. Extended universe. So, Chewie died in the extended universe, saving Han's kids. I mean, that's the thing.
Oh, really?
So if you go in and read some of those books that they did on that, there's a whole like grand story they could have told in movies that would have been awesome to see. So when Han rebuilds a Jedi temple, he gets married to Mara Jade, has kids, just all of that stuff. So there's a lot of ways they could have gone. Prince Caesar would have been really cool with Shadows of the Empire. That was a great story.
Really? Okay.
They could have made a movie out of that. That was a game, but then it could have been made into a movie.
Okay.
There's a lot of good shit that they just never did. So KOTOR was effing amazing. Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic was awesome. It was fun. So I want to be in this conversation so bad. Crazy
You
Matt.
are.
Sorry, you're in it, man. We will do this again, Crazy Matt. Don't worry. I mean, it's Star Wars. So we're going to hit this. We're going to hit this again. But it's going well. The thing is, I'm going to have to probably go. We've been going for about 2 hours. And so we've been going a long time. So
is that normal?
I go for I want to go for an hour, but sometimes we have a good conversation. We'll just go.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. I mean, but once you start talking about Mike Zeck and then Star Wars, it's over. It's over. I'm just glad you allowed me to talk about Shadowpunk, my favorite book ever. And I'm like, okay, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean that's the stuff I get passionate about too. And Crazy Matt, I'll invite you on sometime and we will have Star Wars discussions. So how about that? We'll have to do that sometime. And it's fun for me, but it's really those were the things that made me, I guess, what I am now, and influenced my art, influenced why I love comics and why I'm still into it to this day. So yeah, I think there's plenty of conversations to be had about it. I don't want to just get on and poo-poo on it, too, because I guess by talking about some of the negatives, we talked about what we loved about it,
Sure. You have to, if your arguments are all negative, then you're biased a little bit.
Yes.
Pros and cons, right?
Right.
Because at least you're honest then.
You're right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Oh, Flying Feline's here. Thank you for stopping by. Good to see you. Felix says, please sign up to Shadowpunk mailing list. Yes. So tell us where we can find you, Shadowpunk.
I'm on Twitter and at Shadowpunk Comic.
Awesome.
And and I have a YouTube channel, but not much. I have my sculpts and my animated movies on my YouTube channel. You can watch that. Awesome. It's about 9.5 minutes long. I did everything. According to Telepathic Bunny, I have Lone Ranger-itis.
Yeah. Okay. Lone Ranger-itis.
I do everything on my own.
Everything by yourself.
Everything, but I did all the characters in the animated movie. I had my friends do the voices, and I did the lip sync. I did everything.
Oh my gosh!
It took 4 years. It's not a Pixar movie because I'm only one guy.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty proud of it because it's the most substantial thing I've ever done.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
And hopefully the comic book will be the next step in that direction when I finish a comic. So.
Yeah, man, that's great. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be great. I think you're going to have a pretty good launch. Where are you launching?
I'm launching on June 18th on Bancroft's channel.
Awesome. Okay.
And I just got my lights today or the other day, and I hooked them up. So I have more tricks I'm going to unveil for the launch.
Oh, very cool.
I'm super excited. And
I'm excited for you.
I've been an artist my whole life. So to get into a position where I can make my own product and see who likes it and try to make people get into it is so awesome.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have healthcare, but so what? Right? Who the hell needs healthcare? I got my own original comic book character.
I mean, that's cool. Yeah. Now,
right?
I need healthcare. I got kids, so I'm sorry. I can't argue with you on that.
Yes, totally. I mean, I'm not saying this makes sense. I'm just saying always look on the bright side of life.
Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Because we got to get that song in there. So that's a whole other conversation. We need to have conversations about some of that stuff too.
By the way, there is a old
Life of Brian.
There's an old Monty Python, and there's one where what's his name? Michael Palin they're all school kids, and they have haze each other with these rituals.
Right.
There's one where all of a sudden they have to fight a bear. Right? The little kid has to fight a grizzly bear, and all you see is Michael Palin like for a second, you see his face, and he's fighting some guy in a bear suit. You've never seen anything so funny.
That is awesome. Oh, those guys are so genius.
So
man.
good.
So good, yeah. So,
they never make that stuff today.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. We've lost our soul. That's what we're doing. We're losing our soul. So Hopefully we'll find a way to put a stop to it. So
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, hey man, thank you for coming on. Guys, check us out. We still got Ballad of the Celestials open on in demand on Indiegogo.com. Check it out. I put sign up, the sign up for Shadowpunk on Indiegogo.com in the top of this chat. So if you guys want to see that, you should be able to see the pinned message with the link, and sign up for the book. Man, I hope you have a great launch. It's going to be great to see. I'm going to have to make sure I watch Bancroft.
I'm excited.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on, everybody. We will catch you next week. See you soon.